We are off trail now. Some of these areas of muck are up to 8 feet deep. Whoop, whoop, sinking. Hey everybody, Syntax 77 here, and I am back on the East Coast. I got a backpack right there. I got a hammock, a tarp, some food, 3 days, 2 nights, and I'm here on the East Coast. I'm in the Midlands of South Carolina at the Congaree National Park. Yes, South Carolina does have a national park. They got one, and I'm at it. It's kind of swampy. A lot of people might call it a swamp. It's not actually a swamp. It's a floodplain kind of area, but it's going to be interesting. I've been out west. I've been traveling the country for like a year and a half now. Been in a lot of places, a lot of high peaks, and I post those videos, and a decent amount of you have said, that's great, but let me know when you're back east. So here we are. No 14,000 foot peaks on this one. We're going to get a little interesting. We're going to slop through some wet areas and get into, well, hopefully some fun and some adventure. So right over here is the trail, and I think we're about to do it. This area is a bit of a deep cut, if you will, for national parks. It's one of the younger national parks, I would say designated in the last 15 years or so. And as far as visitation goes, I think they get about 116,000 visitors a year. And to put that in perspective, I think Yellowstone is pushing the upper ends of 4 million, 4.7 million, close to 5 every year. So I don't think we're going to see many people, which is kind of what I'm going for. You can see I'm crossing my first little bridge here. And like I said, this is not technically a swamp, but it is wet around here. At times of the year, I would say throughout a year, from what I've read, this entire park at one point or another over the course of a year is underwater. Not all these trails are accessible. It did rain yesterday all day, so it's wet out here, but I think, as I can see, at least this trail, the King Snake Trail, is above water, so that's good. And this is actually a boat launch. A lot of people do kayaks and canoes around here for their backpacking, or camping, I should say. But in my case, I am backpacking. I have everything I need on my back. I'm traveling, I would say, ultralight. I've got a new hammock with me that's pretty interesting. I'll get into that as we go. Let me check the trail sign here, though, first. King Snake Trail and Wilderness Boundary. Entering the Congaree National Park Wilderness, solitude, inspiration, study, and unconfined recreation. Well, there you go. Respect wildlife, leave only footprints, take only photographs, and be considerate of other visitors. I should point out, so it's free to backpack here. They did require a permit, but the permit was free, but I had to apply to it. And I'll tell you this, I've applied for a decent amount of backpacking permits over the years, and this was one of the most intense applications I've ever filled out. Kudos to them, but I gave them all kinds of information, including the specific colors of my backpack, the color of my hammock, what kind of first aid and survival gear I was going to have with me. It was pretty intense, but they did approve me, and they have several zones, at least a dozen. And so I chose zone 9, which is the zone that has no trails, because why not? Seems smart. I mean, if you're coming somewhere that is basically flooded 90% of the time, why not go camping somewhere that has no trails? I don't know. Just seemed like a fun thing to do. As I step across the water there, I do have my boots there. These are a little overkill temperature-wise, but I'm expecting a lot of mud and ankle-deep water at least. I'm going to try to avoid going in the water, but I think these are going to get wet. So I got my kind of winter boots on just for water protection. I got fresh water on me, and we'll see if I can find some water that I can actually filter once that runs out. That isn't quite so stagnant. It's got kind of a milky look to it around here. Interesting. This is switch cane right here. It's almost like a bamboo vibe, but there's big thickets of this. And you can see there, those palms. Those are palmettos. Those are actually dwarf palmettos. But if you have ever seen the South Carolina flag, their state flag, or state tree, I guess, on that flag is a palmetto. So around here, we have the dwarf palmetto, which is kind of like a little shrubby version. And there's certainly a decent amount of them around here. I'm already picking up some mud on my boots, but you can see a little one right there. And yeah, it's quiet. Here's some woodpeckers in the distance. A lot of people come here looking for various birds and whatnot. And as far as wildlife goes, no bears, so that's fun. But we do have bobcats, possums, and I think the most invasive species out here, wild boar, wild pigs, rather. We may run into some of them, so I'm going to have to hide my food from them tonight. I got my food hang bag and my rope to haul it up in a tree. And for right now, we're on a decent little trail here. Basically what happens though is this king snake trail that I'm on right now goes about 2.3 miles, makes a sharp turn. At that point, I have entered what I'm permitted to sleep overnight on for the next few days, and that is Zone 9. And that is the area with no trails. So we're gonna go straight when the trail breaks to my right. And we're gonna try to find some home for the night. I did a little research on my maps. I found some interesting things to look at. I looked at some historical topo maps as well as LIDAR, which is like a ground penetrating radar, kind of looks black and white, and it shows you a lot of good information on trails, waterways, and disturbances on the ground. From looking at that, I found some kind of interesting things. Maybe some historical things, we'll see. So we'll check that out. I think tonight I'm gonna camp at one of those spots. If I can get there, we'll see how flooded it is. As you can see, we got another bridge right here, but when we get off trail, that'll be the end of that. A lot of cypress trees around here, and they are adapted to growing in flooded areas. Some more over there. Very still water, despite the heavy rain yesterday. There's a ton of cypress trees around here. In fact, as far as deciduous forest goes, which would be like your non-pine tree looking trees like this is the tallest deciduous forest in the world. The average canopy around here, the height of the trees, is 100 feet plus. The tallest one being a loblolly pine. That's 170 feet tall. It's the tallest one in the world as far as that species goes. It's pretty wild. And there's even some old growth trees in here, up to 500 years old. It's interesting. South Carolina, it's like we're getting close to Florida, but not quite Florida. But you can feel that That vibe, right? It's like we're in the backwoods, but we're also got some palms. It's pretty cool. And actually already, I recognize that from the Smoky Mountains. You see that torn up earth? That is wild pigs. And they eat everything. And they tear up everything. So there you go, right there on the trail. Before we even get deep into the bog, the woods, we got some sign. Not particularly worried about that. I don't think you should be either. But I will say, I think I'd rather see a black bear that runs away immediately. Pigs are a little weird, a little aggressive sometimes, but I think we'll be fine. My plan tonight is an area I found that I think will be a little drier, that I can set up my hammock based on the maps I looked at. As I slip around on this mud, it is sloppy around here. Up ahead here, right as the trail bends and we leave it, there's something I found on the map. There's a little point that said Cooner's Cattle Mount with a T. I was like, what does that even mean? So I looked up a cattle mount, and it's basically a mound that farmers would build in these swampy or wetland areas to give their livestock a little refuge. So when this area floods, which it often does, they could go up on this mound and survive, basically. So I looked at that along with some radar images, and I think I know where it is. And I think I'm going to try to find it, and maybe we'll set our hammock up on top of that. It should be the driest place in the area. Right now it doesn't look too bad, but you can see got a lot of like random pockets of water. It's probably very muddy over there too. And just a lot of this small undergrowth, which for a hammock, not the end of the world, but just quality of life, quality at camp. You know, when you got a lot of this small stuff you're tripping over, it's not really that much fun to walk around in. So I'm hoping that little historical site will be a good spot. Oh, we got some pigs over there, actually. I'm not kidding you. A bunch of low to the ground black masses. Like a dozen of them. Into the wilderness. Trail goes that way. We're gonna veer off here. You see the water there. But somewhere in here is that Cooner's cattle mount or mound. Should be about 5-6 feet off the ground. Big area, about 150 feet long, I think. Should be dry. Maybe a good spot to cook some food. So I'll tell you what, I'm pretty hungry. We're getting into the early-ish afternoon right now. And I had a little bit of yogurt this morning before I left. Energy drink, but yeah, I'm ready for some food. So let's see what we can do here. I'd like to take this pack off and find a place to call home. I got water over to my left here. Can't go that way. Here I got a big down tree. Unfortunately, I think it is on the other side of this little unnamed tributary around here. So I'm just kind of walking on a floating vestige of bark here. I'm in the thick of it. Just trying to cross it. Seems like a good spot. I can use some logs, but it should be right over here. That is the cattle mound. And I'm starting to see some places I could put up a hammock anyway, but it would be cool to camp on top of it. Whoa. I was starting to think like, oh man, my map's wrong. But I see a pretty substantial rise in the terrain over here. The problem is I got more unmapped water to get across here. And you got to be careful because this, whoa, see? And that's why I brought these boots. But you feel like it's just some muddy dirt. And look how far I'm going in, just gently. So, yeah, got to be careful. Some of these areas of muck, and yes, muck is a real term. If you look it up, muck means basically a bunch of biomaterial that is so decomposed that you can no longer tell apart the different biomaterials. It's become its own sloshy whatever. That's muck. Some areas around here are up to 8 feet deep of muck. And when it looks wet, that makes me super nervous. But I gotta get over there because I think the rise is over there. So I'm just gonna try to stick to roots or sticks. Oh, geez. Wish me luck. Whoop, whoop, sinking. Okay. Oh boy, keep it moving. Maybe go through there, through these knees, which these are cypress knees. They look like little stumps from other trees. They're not. So this big cypress here, right? And some of these get, like I said earlier, 100 feet tall, 120. They don't fully understand it, but their roots, unlike other trees, make these little outcroppings that come up above the water. General thought is they anchor it. So all these little knees are connected to another tree as either an anchor or a source of sucking up oxygen, because I mean these guys are flooded. So pretty interesting, but I'm going to try to go across this area of debris here. We are off trail now. Look how rooted up this is. You can tell pigs are just running along here looking for food sources. Speaking of food sources, I'm getting hungry and I got some hot food with me. Well, it's not hot yet, but I got some quote unquote real food with me. I think it's going to be quite tasty if I can just find somewhere to set up camp. According to my map, GPS, this is apparently where Cooner's mount or mound, cattle mound, is located. But honestly, I don't know. I don't think this is it. I see over there looks a little more built up, and standing up looks about a little below eye level. So the mound's supposed to be 5 foot raised. That's probably it over there, but because of that water, I just can't get there. But at this point, I am starving. I am super hungry. So as I sit my pack in the mud here, I got to make some food and sit down. This log's a little wet, but I have a solution to both of those situations. And they're all in this food bag right here. So in here, I have, food-wise, a bunch of stuff. Backpacking meals, trail mix, all the normal stuff. I got an MRE, maybe for breakfast tomorrow. But I also have some fresh hot dog buns and some local Carolina hot dogs. Carolina Pride wieners, chicken and pork, $2. Yeah, they had all beef ones, but you know, I'm cheap. That sounds good. And then to sit on, hold on, wait for it. One of my trash bags, gallon Ziploc. Yeah, because this log is saturated, but that should keep my butt dry. So my plan right now is make some food and then assess the situation. Now, let's put that over there. you can't have fires in the Congaree National Park. Despite how wet it is, no fires. And I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. I do have, and you're allowed to have, a stove, which is on the outer side of my pack here. You can have a stove for cooking, which I have my cook kit right there. Take the top off. I got a little canister stove and some matches and whatnot to light that with, and my fuel canister. But the fun part is, for my hot dogs, you might be wondering, did I bring a fry pan? No, that would make too much sense. What I'm going to do is light the stove up, sharpen a stick. This doesn't look too bad right here. It's kind of green too, so it won't burn. That's good. Sharpen a stick. It's probably pointy enough already. Poke it through the hot dog, heat that up, and I'll have a couple hot dogs. Maybe that'll get my morale and brain power up. My wife hooked me up with, oh yeah, that's sharp right there. My wife hooked me up with a little assortment of condiments to keep things interesting. I'm just gonna get the bark off of here so I don't have bark in my dogs. Might even temper that over the fire before I cook with it. It'll just harden it up a little bit. After this, I can figure out where I want to set up a hammock, but right now, I just need some food. Why is it a yellow flame instead of blue? Nope, it's not good. I think it might be overpressured. So I recently got a thing where I could fill this can from another can. And I always kind of thought, it's a little dicey. And I have never experienced a yellow flame like that. So I think it's overpressured. Because from shaking it, it's super full. I don't know, but I think I need to bleed some fuel off. When I filled this thing, I remember it feeling a little too heavy. There we go. Yeah, I think that was overpressure. Now we're looking a little more appropriate. Heat forge that. I want to burn it. There you go. No campfire necessary. Okay. I'm fully aware. I probably charred this a little too much, but let's see. I got my bag full of buns here. Take one out. Should I have toasted the bun? Yeah, right? This bun is cold. No, we can't do this. All right, put this down. All right, it's hurt my hands a little bit. Woo! All right, it's not ice cold anymore. Okay, get back at it. Got my hot dog. I definitely overdid that a little bit. It's a little charred. That's okay. Put that in the bun. Let's see what condiments my wife has selected for me. I got a lot here. I see mayonnaise, Chinese spicy mustard, ketchup, regular mustard. All right, you know what? Let's go Asian style. The animals are coming out. They're getting a little expressive. I think maybe I'm in their zone and they're like, what are you doing here right now? But they're getting a little loud. But there's my dog with some spicy mustard. Let's see what we got. Okay. It's perfect. Nothing like some good food out in the middle of the woods. The sun is about down to tree level, below it actually. So we should probably find somewhere to set up our hammock, get some shelter and warmth for the night. 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 Good morning, everyone. It is certainly morning. It is warming up. The sun is out. I'm in my hammock. Been lounging here for quite some time. I'm sure I look lovely first thing in the morning. Well, maybe not really first thing in the morning. I've been lounging here for quite a bit. It's like 8 something, the latter half of 8 something. And I've just been enjoying myself. I'm hanging in the hammock, new hammock, brand new hammock. I'll get to that in a little bit. I'll show you that. But yeah, it's nice. Went down to about 38 or so last night, and I got a 40 degree system. Got my top quilt, my bottom quilt, which is integrated. Yes, I know. A little different, right? Hanging in the hammock. It's nice. Had a nice night. Went to bed super early. I mean, it got dark whenever that was. Wasn't much longer after that I lasted. I was sitting in the hammock and I went to bed. I bet you it was like 7:30. Woke up at like 12:30 at night. Looked up above me because I didn't do the tarp. I gambled on that based on the forecast, and middle of the night, right above me, just a ton of stars, clear skies. It was beautiful. So I spent just like a half hour in the middle of the night just staring up at the stars in the sky. And as you can see now, it's a clear sky. It's clear and blue. It's supposed to be sunny all day. It's going to maybe get back up to 58 or 60 if we're lucky. And I'm feeling pretty good about that. So I guess at this point, I'll have to be responsible at some point and get up, cook some breakfast, do some exploring. I really don't think, I mean, my map says, as you know, I got into yesterday wandering around here. My map says that I'm on that Cooner's cattle mound, but I really don't think I am, unless it's super flooded and I can't see it. But that cattle mound is about 5.5 feet tall, and it has like a step system down. Now, it could be that it's totally flooded, because the way they make them is by digging earth and moving it over towards where we are right now. So there would be kind of a moat on each side. But also, from what I read, there's an excavation pit, early in the morning, in the middle of it, back in like 1976 or 8 or something like that. They did an archaeological dig, and I don't see any evidence of that around here. At least I didn't yesterday. I'm thinking it's over here, and just my map point is a little bit off, because I see a rise in the landscape over there. But yeah, anyway, I'm sure some of you are saying enough about the mound, but now I'm enthralled. I'm intrigued. Just want to figure out where it is and what it looks like. It's supposed to be pretty obvious, and I just don't know. But I'm gonna maybe hang for a couple more minutes. Well, no, I should probably get my motivation together before it's 9 o'clock, and I should get up. So yeah, put my muddy boots on, and they are muck covered. I mean, I am in a mud pit right now, so check out the boots. They're pretty good and covered. These are just some North Face boots I got from REI for a winter trip a month or so ago with my friend Frank, when we went to West Virginia to look for an airplane crash. But they're working pretty good. If I had my trail runners on, my mesh ones, I think my feet would be just, my socks would be covered in mud by now. And thankfully they're not. So I'll put those on. We'll figure out if we want to pack up now or do breakfast or what we want to do. Probably need some caffeine. That would help. Well, that's one way to do it. It's my food bag. I don't know, I'm thinking about maybe messing with that MRE today. Breakfast MRE. All right, let's get to it. Nice thing about a hammock, it's a good place to sit. So what do we got here? My bag of goodies. Reusable grocery bag. By the way, great option for a food bag. And here's what I'm going for right here. Menu number 17. Pork sausage patty, maple flavored. Warfighter tested, Warfighter approved. Pack date was 3/2018. Yes, it is 2025 right now, just in January. But it says Best Buy 9/2023. Now that's if it was stored at a steady 70 degrees or less. I'm going to say, yeah, it's been climate controlled. I think. I don't know. I bought this a while ago. I forget where I got it from. You can get these at surplus shops and whatnot, eBay, probably even Amazon. You can get packs of these, although when you don't go through a surplus store, the prices get a little pricier. Speaking of which, somebody actually asked me on my last video, I was talking about my military fleece, which I'm not wearing today. I'm wearing my fancy Ultra Vitals down puffy, but I mentioned that I love the military fleece because they're super warm and you can beat the hell out of them, and you can get them for like $5-10 sometimes at surplus stores. And somebody asked, what stores are you going to online? And no, in that case, you just got to kind of be lucky and be near a military town and find a surplus store in person and go in. And you can get those fleeces and whatnot. That's where a lot of my gear has come from. That isn't fancy hammock gear, of course. So shout out to Dover Air Force Base. My parents live around there. It's a major Air Force base, so a lot of my gear is surplus Air Force. But anyway, what do we got in here? So with a lot of the lunches and dinners, you get a little surprise because they'll have the main course, but then they'll have like a different candy or accoutrements. You never really know. It might switch up, some M&Ms and whatnot. But the breakfast, I think, is pretty consistent. So let's open it up and see what we got. I think it's just going to be like a little pancake and the sausage. Let's see. Ooh, I got carbohydrate electrolyte beverage powder, otherwise known as powdered Gatorade. That's cool. Oh, this is a cracker type thing. Crackers. Straight up crackers. These are dry as hell, but I will tell you what, with a little bit of peanut butter or the packet of cheese spread, if you're hungry enough in the middle of nowhere, pretty amazing. But I don't know. I don't know if this came with any. Oh, yes, it did. All right, so I know what we're having for a snack later. By the way, you can tell I've never served, in the military, because anybody out there who has is like, this guy is excited about MREs. It's the worst. It was my worst nightmare if I'm trying to enjoy myself. I wasn't forced to eat these a lot, so I like the peanut butter and crackers. I have fond memories of the Catskills of New York. I was looking for a downed airplane out there in the middle of nowhere, super thick brush. I mean, I could barely move. This place looks wide open compared to that. But anyway, I just hunkered down at one point in between these trees, like right in front of my face, and I ate the dry ass crackers, and I think I did the cheese spread, and it brought me back to life. So smoked almonds, I think that's a new one for me. I don't know. Smoked almonds, right on. This is a good kit. What else we got? Table syrup. There we go. All right, we'll put that over here for our breakfast. And here it is. Yep. The maple. Oh, yes. It's a maple muffin top. It's technically a muffin top. But check it out. If you split this thing in half, I'll open it up in a little bit. Split it in half surgically with a pocket knife. And you can make yourself a McGriddle sandwich. You use this as the bun. And then here it is. It looks like a McRib-shaped sausage patty right there, packed in this little thing. Patty, maple flavored. Yeah, last time I had one of these, it's been a while, this particular meal kit. I think I was using my Hammock flat-laying hammock in New Hampshire, sub-zero, in the snow, and I made a little McGriddle sandwich, so we'll see if it lives up to that. And then the rest of the kit, a little instruction board. Timing is critical. Eat and drink within 30 to 60 minutes after physical activity, or in my case, just because I'm awake. Okay. And then I got a little survival packet here. These are always actually pretty handy. Some toilet paper, salt, pepper, a couple chiclets, you know, instead of brushing your teeth, you got some chiclets, and a moist towelette, a pack of matches. It's actually pretty nice. So I'll leave this in the little waterproof bag. Probably bring it on the next trip if I don't need it on this one. Unless I run out of toilet paper. And then this here is the critical component. You got your little emery heater bag. So this is, it's some sort of metal in there mixed with some sort of other metal. But anyway, you add water to this, and it just cold water out of my bottle, and this will start to heat up tremendously, considering the fact that it's inert right now. All I got to do is add water. So I add water to this, and then I'm going to put it into the cardboard instruction pouch, and that acts as a little insulating thing, basically. They probably don't intend for me to heat up the muffin as well, but I'm going to do it. I don't know. But most of the times it's just a little pouch of food, like my favorite, and I think my friend Ben's favorite as well, is the cheese tortellini. It's a pretty good one, as an example. But anyway, you usually have one meal packet. You put it in there, add water to this, which I'm going to do, shove that in there as well, and I wait, I don't know how long they suggest, but, 10 minutes or something like that. Oh yeah, place against, I love this part. This is my favorite. I almost forgot about this. Put the pouch in there with the cardboard, and then place against a rock or something on an angle. So you want it to be kind of upright on an angle, and that allows it to get its heat on, apparently. So let's do it. All right, so here is my pouch. Fill that up to the line. Between the lines, they say. Well, overfilled. Go figure. All right, in between the lines. Now I need my heater. Make sure you don't eat it, the heater that is. Shove that down in there. And let's get my food in there. So my sausage patty, and that's going to go on top of the heater. There we go. And then this, I don't think they intended, so who knows if this is going to cool it down too much, but I don't care. I'm going to put my muffin in there too, on top of the sausage, which will get most of the heat. Fold this over. I'm going to hold it level until it starts to feel warm. It's starting to puff up. And I don't think it feels warm, but you know what? It's not ice cold anymore. Also, I should put it in the sleeve. There we go. And I'll use that to keep the fold in here. And they said a rock or something, so there's my rock or something. And we're going to let that sit. I'll set a timer on my watch, and we'll come back and see if this doesn't make some breakfast. Also, I have this water bottle. It's 1.5 liters, and I got a separate one I haven't broken into yet. I hiked in with some soda bottles as well, so I used that for hydration yesterday. But at this point, I have this bottle plus 1.5 liters over there. And I'm going to need more water at some point, right? Because we got today and tomorrow to go. Honestly, this standing water doesn't look too delicious. But totally could do it. It would just run my filter through the paces. My filter over here. Let's see. I got a Catadine Be-Free. I just bought this cartridge not too long ago. Unscrew that there. See that there? It's practically new. Used it on like one trip. These, you basically just fill the water pouch up and then squeeze out, and you get yourself some fresh water. Doesn't do viruses, but all your bacteria, cysts, stuff like that, you're pretty good to go. But the siltier the water is, and the more tannins and whatnot, which tannins, if you ever see like red water running, that's most likely because your water is running through roots. And if you haven't noticed, this place is comprised of trees growing in water, so it's probably pretty tough on a filter, but that's okay. I probably honestly should have brought a pre-filter, which could easily be something as simple as a coffee filter or a rag, a buff. I don't have like a head wrap on this trip, but if you've ever seen like those buffs that people hike with and wear around their necks, you can run water through that, and it'll just get that first layer of silt out. But I don't think I have anything like that, unless I ran it through my own t-shirt. But I'm only out here a couple days. I don't think I'm going to take it that far. But we'll see. As we hike today after breakfast, we'll keep our eyes out and see if maybe there's some more free-flowing water with a little bit of movement to it, so it's not quite so stagnant and maybe is a little easier to filter. But yeah, that's that. And the sun is in the sky. Thankfully, the days are getting a little longer. We've passed that period in winter where the days are shorter and shorter. They are getting slightly longer as we go here in January, late January. But nonetheless, it's not going to be a super long daylight window. But first things first, we're going to have some breakfast. Should be heated up pretty soon. All right, let's see what we're working with here. almost forgot that my MRE came with some coffee, sugar, and creamer. So I got some creamer and sugar. Now, instead of the muffin, I could have put it comes with a pouch that holds water for the coffee and the creamer. But I have my cook kit, so why mess with that? Potential disaster of drinking coffee out of a bag. But let's see what we got here. This thing is still hot. Oh yeah, that's a hot sausage patty. And here is my, come on, thoroughly warmed up, if I can get it out, there we go, thoroughly warmed up muffin. Put the bag to the side, we'll throw that out. So first things first, I think we got to open up our muffin and try to surgically cut it in half. Oh, do not eat. I won't. Put that away. I just brought some gallon Ziploc bags with me, and that's what I'm putting all my trash in, because obviously you don't want to leave trash in the woods. You're not allowed to have fires here, so I can't burn anything either. But let's cut this guy right down the middle. Well, he's a little crumbly. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm remembering now. Remember I said the last time I had this was like sub-zero temps. That's probably why I had less success with getting it super hot with both in there. But it feels like it's up to 50 degrees out here, especially in the sun. But it's also making everything nice and warm. And this muffin top wants to crumble. But I think I might... I might have done it. Put him right there. And sausage pate. This might be a little messy. Let's see. He's going to be in syrup. I remember doing this with gloves before. That was a little ridiculous. All right. There we go. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a mess. But also, it's not like these things come with a plate. So, like, what am I supposed to do? A lot of sausage juice in there. We'll let that drip off. That'll be my bottom. This will be my top. Put this to the side. Let's see what we got. A little sip of coffee. Probably too hot still. Oh, Lord. Too hot. I also made it with too much water, but I'll get some hydration in me, right? But more importantly, military McGriddle, as it tries to fall apart. I'm sure the pigs will like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. I did not realize how hungry I was. Well, this will give me a little energy, or maybe it's going to put me in a coma afterwards, but hopefully this gives me some energy and motivation, because next step is take down the hammock. Oh, I haven't shown you that yet. All right, well, I'll finish this, and then I'll show you my new hammock. It was a gift from Dutchware Gear. This video is not sponsored by Dutchware Gear, but I do love those guys. I recently did a video right before this all about hammock camping, how to set up hammocks. I'm not going to get into that on this video, but if you want to know more about the logistics of hammock camping, you can check that out. But they sent me this. They occasionally send me prototypes. Everything in that previous video I bought myself. But yeah, sometimes they send me some new stuff to play with. And this one's got a fun pattern that kind of makes sense for the channel. So I appreciate that from those guys. And we'll check that out after I get done my military griddle, or whatever this is. Oh, yeah, I might have done a little siesta turns out those warfighter tested and approved meals, if there's no imminent threat, they're pretty good for taking a nap afterwards. And I haven't even had my peanut butter crackers, but what I do have is this comfortable hammock. So I've been kind of chilling here by the water, listening to the birds. It's been kind of nice, but maybe we should get up. Also, I can show you the hammock. You can see my muddy boots still. I'm just kind of laying with my boots outside of the hammock, the new hammock. Now let me show you what I got. And then we're gonna go out exploring a little bit. Hung my food back up just so didn't entice any critters. So far, just a lone fly. It is like definitely 60 degrees at this point. It's pretty nice. Gotta love that, South Carolina. But there is the new hammock right there. And like I said earlier, I did a whole video on hammock camping basics and some advanced or pro tips, whatever you want to call them. But I got my straps hooked up right there. But the fun thing about this hammock, this is a Dutchware Chameleon, which I've had before. It's a modular hammock system, meaning that there's all kinds of attachments, like little pockets on the side that I can put on. And also I can run either a bug net or a solid top cover if it's colder. Or in my case, you can see I'm running no bug net or top cover whatsoever, because with this weather, it's been pretty nice. No threat of bugs. So I just like having the open view, especially without a tarp. But I could zip a bug net on here if I wanted to. But the cool thing about this guy, the really unique thing, besides that interesting camo pattern you see there, pretty cool, right? I heard the military is switching to this camo pattern next year, and I got first dibs on it. Let's take a closer look at it. Obviously, I'm joking. That's not military camo. Those are cheeseburgers. Yeah, it's cheeseburger print. But it does have a nice blendy look when you get further away from it. But seemed appropriate for the channel. But anyway, I keep not telling you about the details of what's cool about this hammock, and way different than any hammock I've had before. And that is, you see the underquilt on here, right? It's integrated. It's sewn right in. This is a 40-degree integrated underquilt sewn right onto it. And then as a top quilt, of course, that's up to me, but I did a 40-degree top quilt as well. Like I said, went down to like 38 last night, and I did just fine. And I was super comfortable. And setting this thing up is super easy because, well, there's no separate underquilt. Not that that's typically a big deal to set up an underquilt. Once you have it dialed in, like my little Phoenix hammock gear 3/4 length guy, I've had it dialed. I probably haven't touched the adjustments on it in years. I just slap it on. But the cool thing about this is there's nothing to think about. So when I got here last night, I just threw the hammock up. It's in the double-ended stuff sack. Of course, it's a little bigger because it includes the underquilt bulk, if you will, but it's still not that bad. And I would say on balance, I'll have to look it up, but it's probably lighter just because there's no shock cords or anything. Everything is just sewn together. And the real advantage that I found, besides the ease of setup and not thinking about it, is no air gaps whatsoever. So even in my favorite underquilt hammock systems, if I shift in the middle of the night, and this really only applies if it's like those coldest parts of the night, but you will feel, or I do at least, when I shift, I disturb the hammock a little bit and I let some cold air in or some warm air out. And in the case of this thing, well, it's sewn together. There are zero air gaps whatsoever, and I didn't really think about that until I was sleeping last night. But there's no way that my trap warmth is escaping from this thing. I can toss, I can turn, I can get out to answer nature's call, say at 12:30 in the morning when I'm looking at the stars. I get back in, and I haven't lost any residual heat. It's still trapped in that down, and I don't have to make sure to pull it up around me. I just hop in and go. I can't believe it's been this long and I've never even thought about a system like this existing, but it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's what I've been sleeping in. And of course there's pros and cons to everything. I mean, obviously a con of this would be, as I hit my head there, it is integrated. So this is what it is. I chose a 40 degree. I think they go down to 0. Don't quote me on that at Dutch Rare, but there was different choices. I went for 40 because that's my go-to system I use all the time. I would say like 80% of the time I'm using the same exact hammock setup with a 40 degree underquilt. So for me, I would say if it's not winter, I'm probably going to be using this thing all the time. I got to check the weights on it, but it feels pretty good. But you know, like I said, if you want a multitude of options for insulation and just one hammock, then this wouldn't be for you. But in my case, I have more hammocks than I know what to do with. It's pretty insane. I live in an RV, so I only have 2 with me right now, but I have dozens of hammocks in storage. So yeah, I like it. I got my separate hammock with obviously no underquilt tied into it that I can adjust as I see fit for winter, but this is pretty cool and pretty comfortable. Another thing about the hammock that I'm thinking right now, it's like midday after my siesta. I still want to look for this Coomer mount or mound. And also I saw on LIDAR maps, ground penetrating radar maps, this weird rectangular shape in the woods not too far from here. I don't know what it is, but I mean, it's got to be something, right? So I'm thinking, let's do a little day hike. I'm going to grab my pack, throw a couple snacks in it, and my water bottle. I'll probably bring my empty water bottle so that as we hike along, maybe I find a water source, I can refill some water, and we'll just kind of explore the area. But I'll already have my base camp warm and toasty, ready to go for when I come back and those temps drop back down to 40 degrees or so. But right now it's sunny and warm, so let's take advantage of that. Grab the pack, some snacks, some water. Let's see what we can find and discover out here in this wetland. Traveling light as we backtrack our way out here. Look at these crazy growths. These cypress trees. Pretty cool. I GPS marked where I am. How did I get in here? I think I hopped my way across here. I want to get over there. Jeez. I'm stuck. That swampy, watery area there, I'm not walking across that. I don't feel like going knee deep in the water, so this might be a little bit bigger of an excursion than I thought to snake all the way around. Every time I get to a spot, simple straight line to get somewhere, I encounter water, which not only looks calf deep, but that mud beneath it could be another foot or 2, who knows? So I really don't want to figure that out, especially if it's getting that cold tonight. So yeah, this might take a little longer to go a short amount of distance than I thought. Matter of fact, at this point, it looks like it would actually, I think I got a closer shot to take a look at this rectangular thing on LIDAR than I do getting across the bog. So I think since we're over here, let's go ahead and just find out what this strange rectangle is that I found on LIDAR. And it is a perfect rectangle. It doesn't look natural at all. And like I said before, these basically show disturbances in the ground. You can see trails, waterways. Matter of fact, when you look at aerial imagery around here, it just looks like trees. But when you switch to LIDAR, you can see the natural flows of the water and whatnot. It's pretty cool. But there's that rectangle. I'm not sure what it is. So we're going to check it out. And who knows, maybe it's an old moonshine still or something. I don't know. It's not. It doesn't have a listing on the map. But oh, that sun keeps on moving. We're down to like an hour 40 of sunlight left in the day. A couple miles away from camp. Didn't bring a light, but I guess my phone could do that, although it's 32%. But walking in the dark, okay, fine, I could do it. A little tougher. But even finding my campsite from today in daylight without the GPS tag, I don't know if I'd find it, or I would say it would take a while. So stay up there a little longer, son. Won't you, please? Should be it. All right, bingo, we got it. Oh, it's got like a moat around it. I think this is an unlisted cattle mount or cattle mound. Because look at this, I never found the other one, but check this out. Has kind of a moat around it. And that would be where they dug the earth up to put it above, or pile it up above, right there, to make a mound. And you can kind of see steps, which is what I was looking for on the other one as well. Over here, it looks like I can traverse up onto it, because the whole point of these things is to give refuge for livestock when there's a flood, and that happens around here a lot. And strangely, look, in the middle here is a pit dug out. Now, it's not that big, but this is matching the description of Cooner's Mound that I read, because I'm 2 miles away from camp, and my camp was on top of allegedly it, but this is matching the description. Well, if there's a major flood, I know where to go now. This thing is way up here. This whole place could be underwater, which often it is. And I think this right here would be dry and above ground. If I was a cow, I'd want to be here. A little pig scrape there, I think. Or a bedding area, I'm not sure. I'm not used to what, if anybody knows what a bedding area for a pig looks like, they're pretty good at digging, so. Is this one? Because usually when they're looking for food, it's got that zigzag thing going on. But this is dug in pretty good, but looks like about the size of a swine. All right, what time is it though? 4:56, yikes, and 23% battery. I'm gonna skedaddle out of here, go down the side here, and I'm gonna hoof it back to camp, if I can find my way there, before it gets dark. And we have some pigs right here. Look how dark black they are. They are moving. No tusks. I found me a pig. Oh, the little baby pigs. I know pigs do a lot of damage. The baby pigs are cute. Come on. Look how fast they are. Holy moly. Oh, she's going back to get them. I will not be messing with that. Don't want to peeve mama. And just like that, they're gone. And I am way off trail. It's hard in here. Even with GPS, it's just, you're moving around so much debris and whatnot that you're just constantly going off course, especially with the water. But we got to make a decision. Unfortunately, the camp is straight ahead, but the problem is this standing water comes and goes all over the place when you least expect it. I don't want my feet to be wet. I don't know how waterproof these boots are. I've been trying to just go up to the rubber parts. But camp is right over there. I can walk miles that way or meters. I have no idea, but I've been going for a while. Or just take my chances getting my feet wet and go straight across this thing, get to camp, get some food, get some shelter, see if any pigs have stolen my food, you know, stuff like that. So we're going to do it. Now the thing with this muck is obviously look for roots and stuff, but if you can just keep moving, that is definitely helpful, but you also want your balance because you can walk fast. It's almost like walking on water sometimes. And the more you stand, the more you slip in. That looks like a good nest of stuff over there. Oh boy. I'm just gonna keep it moving. Get on the other side. It's crazy how close I am on paper to my home. Oh boy. Please, I don't want wet feet all night. Whoa. All right. Okay. It's going to be weird coming from this side. And remember, last time we had water right next to us. So I feel like we have another crossing in store for us. But what are you going to do? Sun is going down. Battery's running out. Gotta go. Okay. Oh. Oh my God. Oh. Oh. It finally happened, but sometimes you gotta rip the Band-Aid off, I guess. I think there's nothing between me and camp now. Matter of fact, if I aim down here, I should probably, hopefully, oh, my pants are soaked. I should see my tarp's not up. My cheeseburger print, although that orange color, it's kind of a camo around here, but luckily I got a little walking to do. And usually that's the best way to dry out. When you're wearing synthetics, I don't really feel too wet. I don't really feel any wetness in there yet. I feel like these actually have decent uppers on the boots. But yeah, I went up to here, but I wasn't in enough to actually fill through the boot. And maybe having my pant legs over top helped, but whatever. Just give me some food, right? Good news. I actually see my hammock and my food bag over there. There's more water in the way, but whatever. Find my way across. I guess one more crossing, but at least I see my home. I'm just gonna blaze right towards it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so I'm coming from this side. I'm all turned around. I'm telling you what, I got 11% on the battery right now. And if you didn't have GPS out here, despite my little sun trick, you focus on just moving ahead and everything. Yeah, I could see how you would get pretty lost pretty quick around these parts, hence the application process. And I'm also about 5% battery on my camera. So let's get over there. I'm just gonna go for it. Oh boy. Woo! Well, I'm still not on the side that the real Cooner mount might be if what we found wasn't it, but we're home. I'm gonna sit for a minute and I'm gonna cook some hot dogs. I'm pretty sure you already know what that looks like, right? Ah, home sweet home. I'm sure you can barely see me. I apologize, but I got a hot dog. It is dark out now. It is about that time. Yeah, 6:10, so we're 20 minutes after sunset. It's going to be pitch black within like 10-15 minutes. So I'm going to eat my hot dog, get cozy in my new hammock, and tomorrow, I don't know, we'll take a look around, see what else there is to see. And yeah, maybe some historical things, or who knows. No, that's tomorrow. Right now, I eat, replace some calories, rest up. Pretty good day. Sun is finally out. It's a little ways into the morning here. It was overcast for a bit, so sunrise didn't really bring the sun so much this morning. But it's out now. It feels pretty good. Got my breakfast. Gonna eat this. A little relaxed morning. Little biscuits and gravy, a classic. Throw a little hot sauce on there because, you know, why not? Feeling pretty good. I'm liking that I stuck with just staying at the same campsite here and doing the little excursion yesterday. Although honestly, there's a ton of space down here. Like, you could totally choose your own adventure, and I could have switched up and definitely found another spot yesterday. I think one of the, if you research the Congaree National Park, you'll get a lot of mixed emotions. Some people really dislike it. I think there's two reasons for that, at least for backpacking and in general. First things first, you got to remember, I'm here in the winter. Late January, practically February. This place apparently can be a nightmare during bug season. So we're talking spring into summer. As a matter of fact, the visitor center, actually the main visitor center, which is a few miles from here down the road, actually has a mosquito meter. So I think that can be pretty challenging. But if you come in the winter, which I didn't plan, but it worked out for me, obviously the bugs are not an issue. And yeah, so that's a non-issue for me. The other one is for backpacking. One of the first things I saw that kind of scared me away a little bit was, you know, there's not that many like backcountry trails, so you're not going to find a lot of options for like making an overnight backpacking trip. And in my case, I did 2 nights. But the key is, and I haven't even shown you guys the map yet, but I will maybe once I pack up and we get back out to do some exploring. Pick one of those zones. I'm in zone 9, and I believe it's zone 8. I might have that backwards. We'll see it on the map. But those 2 zones, yeah, there's no trails in there, but they're also like the biggest section of the park. It is just wide open. No developed trails. Choose your own adventure. I've really enjoyed it. I think it's been an awesome experience. I will tell you, I'll tell you 2 things that I firmly believe right now. Number one, this video probably won't do that well because it's just me walking around in the swamp or the wetlands here. And I get that. But number two, this is probably, I'm loving it. This is pure backpacking. You can just come out and think of all the places that you go to where you got to stay on the trail or you got to do designated campsites. Even for backcountry, it's like you have to stay here or here, and don't even think of leaving the trail. We have 100,000 acres of forests, but you're only allowed to see a 20-acre corridor along these trails. Here, you fill out that permit, you come down. I just think it's really fun, and it's beautiful in its own strange way. A lot of obstacles, you know. It's definitely for a certain type of individual, I guess. But trying to navigate these water obstacles and then the various other things and stumbling upon really cool looking old growth and everything, I think it's awesome. You come out here with a friend too. Like, you know, speaking of biscuits and gravy, I wish Frank was here, because this is like, we would be all over this. We would make ourselves a little camp and we would chill out and talk crap for 2.5 days and just make a little home, which is basically what I did. So I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but my point is, don't sleep on the South Carolina's only national park. It's pretty awesome in its own way. But anyway, another thing that's awesome is hot food. So I'm going to eat this before it cools down too much. And then I will, well, I guess we got to pack up the hammock. But nice thing about not having a tarp set up, which I somehow got away with, based on the forecast, breakdown's pretty easy. I mean, all my stuff's pretty much in the pack except for some food and stuff over there I'll put away. But yeah, double-ended stuff stack. A little bigger than usual because I have the insulated hammock, but this is everything in one shot. Put that there like that. Double check that it's empty. Another thing I'll point out real quick too, as I was looking around, you can see that these fresh water marks on the trees, the cypress in the water there. Since that storm 2 days ago, we've already drained a couple, maybe 3 or 4 inches out of this area. But what's interesting is you can see, based on these moss marks, where this water level really comes up to. And this little island I'm on would be completely submerged for sure, because right here is my moss mark. It's probably where the water typically comes up to, and it is, with weight in the hammock, yeah, it would be above my hammock. So I guess I came at the right time. Anyway, I'm going to disconnect this guy. And I'll just be careful not to put it on the ground. And we'll stuff her on into the bag, the stuff sack. Look at that big old guy, but he's in there. All right. Whew. So much mud. Anyway. That's that. Disconnect this end and shove her on into the backpack. And it's pretty much the bottom half of my backpack is entirely comprised of this guy. Brush him off a little bit. Whoops. All right. That water bottles will go on the outside. There's my top quilt, and then the last thing will be my food bag on top, and I'll be ready to roll out. Let's see. Oh, don't want to forget the tree straps, right? And kind of mentioned this on my last video, but the quick detachable straps, I like that because in this case they're okay. I didn't get a flood. Actually, they're a little dirty and muddy. Nice thing about this system is Just keep it on the outside net mesh. It'll give it a chance to breathe. Whoop, as I trip over a root. I'm not folding these up or rolling these up super nice, but quick and dirty gets it done. All right, that's it. It's the outside of the pack. Put my food in here, and we'll get back on the trail. I'll show you this map too. All right, let's head on out. And there's my map. I should probably bring that with me, right? And I'll show you what I was talking about earlier. Try to keep out of the shadows there. So, that's your whole park right there. This top corner right here, you can see that's the only place that really lists any trails. There's some minor ones, a couple minor ones in here, towards the top and the side over here that will show up on other maps. But for the most part, you got your trails there, your visitor center here. They have a boardwalk loop. It's like 2 miles, and then a Weston loop. You can do the whole thing for like 5 miles. I would say 90% of people when they come to the park, their experience is that boardwalk loop. It is pretty cool. My wife and I did it last week. It's really awesome. The boardwalk means that despite flooding, it's accessible year-round. It's fun, but if you looked at this place for backpacking, you would say, but what am I supposed to do? This is all front country. There's a zone over here. I'm in zone 9, and I would highly recommend it. It's this whole area here. It has no trails. It's where we are right now, but you can just choose your own adventure. And then over here on the other side of Cedar Creek is zone 8, and that is listed as a trailless zone as well that you can get a permit for. So that's what we've been doing, and what I would recommend if you're looking for some more self-sufficient backpacking adventure. Anyway, we're leaving the campsite behind. It is empty, like we were never there, except for maybe some mud prints. But where I set up camp was actually in the middle of where some pigs were rooting around at some point. So it really doesn't look much different at all from when I got here. And we're gonna, in general, head this direction through these cypress knees. And remember, all of these are poking up from the root systems from these trees coming up. I believe I mentioned that before, but it's just kind of cool to see that. You can actually kind of see how widespread the root system of trees are, right? I mean, I think we all kind of know that, but you can never see them. But it's pretty interesting. It is just littered with these little knees trying to get some anchorage and some oxygen out of the air. And let's see, let's go over here. Ultimately, I want to be over there, but if I remember correctly, we got out of this little trap by going through here. Now, thankfully, I'm still going to try to keep dry, of course. But the nice thing is, I got a fresh pair of shoes in the Jeep, so I can put on some dry shoes when I get out of here. Not the end of the world. Get myself a cheeseburger on the way home, and all will be right with the world. But one thing at a time. Try not to get stuck in another terrain trap along the way. Looks like I'm getting into another break of switch cane. But yeah, for the most part, I think I got a nice little route here that's not completely submerged. So I'm just going to enjoy that. Dream about my post-hike meal. See if we can't get ourselves back to society. The boots are actually starting to dry a little bit, believe it or not. We've linked back up with real trail. It's still quiet. I haven't seen anybody out here this whole time. Maybe I'm just the only one dumb enough to backpack this instead of kayak it. You never know. We'll see if the parking lot is empty or not. There you go, some boats. National Park guided kayaking trips. Very cool. Also very cool is the fact that we made it back. So here we are. The Jeep is still here. Mission complete. Pretty good. 3 days in the woods. Little wetlands activity. So thumbs up to South Carolina's only national park. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. But I am hungry. I am tired. Got a little bit of a drive to do and some calories to replace. So till next time, I'm Syntax77, and right now it's cheeseburger time.